Hello, many thanks for joining us on News Hour 2. My name is Sani Abdurrahman. We start from the Upper East region, where the Navrongo Health Research Center under the Ghana Health Service is to start the first Lassa fever, the first human vaccine trial for Lassa fever. The Kintampo Research Center will be part of this process, which is expected to start in January 2022. Transmission of the Lassa virus to humans is through inhalation or indigestion of food or household items contaminated with urine or feces of uninfected rats.
Lassa fever is a hemorrhagic fever that has a high mortality rate. So far, it has no cure and 10% of persons who may suffer this fever die. It is endemic in parts of West Africa, including Sierra Leone, Liberia, Guinea and Nigeria. Neighboring countries are also at risk, as the animal vector for Lassa virus, the multi-mermaid rat, is distributed throughout the region. Though Ghana has never reported cases of Lassa fever, surrounding countries like Burkina Faso and Nigeria make Ghana susceptible to the virus. Researchers at the Navrongo Health Research Center in the Upper East region believe a race beyond time for the Lassa fever vaccine is key in ensuring that the country is fully prepared.
We have done the first human trial outside the country in the US. But looking at the speed at which the vaccine is going to be developed, and this is basically a disease mostly found in Africa, because I feel that for this vaccine there can be an exception where it's tried in Africa first. And to go to Africa, we have to go to a country where there is no disease yet. So Ghana is like a naive population which is naive. So we can qualify for the first in human trial.
The director of the Navrongo Health Research Center, Dr. Patrick Odumansa, said while enough data has been collected to develop the vaccine, the Navrongo Health Research Center is awaiting approval from the FDA and the Ethics Board of the Ghana Health Service to start the first in-human Lassa fever vaccine trial.
After we finish, it's likely that the phase 2, phase 3 will move to a country where the disease has been detected. And that's where it will be used. We are looking at its safety in human beings and then a little about whether it generates protection.
Phase 1 of the inhuman Lassa fever vaccine clinical trial is expected to be carried out in beds in the surveillance areas of Navrongo in the Upper East region and Kintampo in the Bono region. About 100 participants will be engaged and monitored for 6 months and followed for 2 years.
Back in Accra, the Greater Accra Regional Health Directorate has begun the administration of the Moderna vaccines in the region from today, November 5, 2021. The exercise ends on November 10, 2021. The vaccines will be deployed to all 29 districts within the Greater Accra region and will be available in all public health facilities within the period. The vaccine is also available for all persons 18 years and above who have not received any coronavirus jab. The Greater Accra Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Charity Sapon, said with the likelihood of increased activities during the Christmas season, people who are eligible to receive the vaccine should avail themselves for the jab. Dr. Sapon joins us on the line for more on this exercise that started today. Dr. Sapon, if you can hear me, how has the exercise been so far since you started in the morning?
Good afternoon. I must say that the exercise is really progressing very smoothly. We started, most of the centers started as early as 8:30, between 8:30 and 9 a.m. Most of the centers had started. And the turnout has been very encouraging in most of the centers. And this time we are not having any challenges with our software. So everything is going on smoothly and people are just sitting down patiently waiting for their turn and it's been very good so far.
Doc,
A few of our centers.
Doc, go on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go on with your point.
A few of our centers have had low turnout, but then it's very few. And for those centers, the district directors have, are re-strategizing to see how best they can reach out to the community. And information vans have been sent around just to sensitize the people and let them know that this is ongoing.
So, Doc, I'm getting the impression that the turnout is high and people have availed themselves to receive the job?
Hello?
Yes, Doc, can you hear me?
No, could you kindly repeat your question, please?
I was asking that, am I getting the impression from all that you've said that people are availing themselves to take the job?
That's right. Yes, please. That's what I've been saying.
And you haven't encountered any challenge in the exercise since you started in the morning?
No, so far it's been very good. It's been very smooth, and we have not had any major challenges.
And Doc, just before I let you go, I want to know how this whole exercise that you've started now will help in enabling the country to achieve herd immunity as the government has been seeking to achieve.
Yeah, it depends on, people who are eligible for the vaccines availing themselves and taking the jab as and when it's made available. And I must say that now currently we have lots of the vaccine coming into the country. So even after this exercise, we are definitely going to continue. Our aim or our target is that before at least Christmas, the 61% of persons, eligible persons in Greater Accra region who are yet to receive their vaccine will be able to reach out to at least 50% and more of them. And as we do that, then it means that gradually we are getting into our herd immunity, and there will be adequate protection for everyone.
Doc, very finally, from where you sit, how is the service working to address the issue of misinformation surrounding the vaccines, which has contributed to us seeing a bit of hesitancy from a section of the public?
That's right. So because of that, we have, strengthened our risk communication activities. There's lots of, every district is, looking at what the issues are pertaining in their locality. And based on that, we have strategized various communication activities that will help address the person's concern or the particular community. So we are doing targeted risk communication. We are doing lots of advocacy. We have roped in the media like you are doing, and I want to believe that with time, people will get the correct information, and more people avail themselves.
Thank you so much, Doc, for your time. Dr. Charity Sapon is the Greater Accra Regional Director of the Ghana Health Service, and has been helping us to understand how the exercise, the vaccine deployment exercise has been since they started or resumed the exercise today, where they are deploying the Moderna vaccine. Now let's move on to our next story, where a 10-bed high dependency unit to manage severe COVID-19 cases in the Eastern region has been inaugurated at the St. Dominic Hospital at Equatia. It was refurbished by the Christian Health Association of Ghana. The unit is one of the 3 established by the association, in addition to 37 other isolation centers. It's set up in 40 districts where the association operates with funding of 2.2 million cedis from the UK government. And there's more in reports compiled by my colleague Sarah Furi.
The St. Dominic Hospital is a 338-bed secondary health facility. It is a major referral center within the Denchembo, Kwaibibrim, West Achim and Birim North districts, as it offers over 27 medical and clinical services. Hypertension tops the list of OPD attendance since April 2020, when it recorded its first COVID-19 case. It has successfully managed over 350 cases with support from UK Aid through the CHAG COVID-19 response and institutional capacity project, also known as the CRIB project. The project is being implemented in 40 districts where CHAG facilities are located. So far, 6 accredited testing sites have been set up in the Upper East, Bono, Ashanti, Central and the Eastern regions, where tests are conducted free of any charges and results accepted for traveling purposes at the airport. The St. Dominic Hospital, as a beneficiary of the project, is also resourced to conduct PCR and antigen tests. Medical scientists and frontline staff were also trained to boost their capacity in COVID-19 response and risk and behavioral change communications. 3 high dependency units, 13 prefabricated and 27 isolation units were also set up. The St. Dominic Hospital had its facility refurbished into a COVID-19 high dependency unit due to proximity. The 10-bed facility is equipped with ventilators, patient monitors, infusion pumps and crank beds to manage severe and critical cases. At a ceremony to inaugurate the facility, the administrator of the hospital, Reverend Father Ebenezer Aban, said through the CRIB project intervention, the hospital currently has no new cases. The executive director of CHAG said the unit will reduce the burden of referring patients to major treatment facilities. The UK High Commissioner, Ms. Harriet Thompson, said her government allocated over £6 million towards Ghana's COVID-19 response, that delayed payments of NHIS claims and inadequate allied health professionals are impeding the delivery of quality service in the town. He appealed to government to re-establish the defunct enrolled nursing training school in Akwetia. Sarah Furi, GBC News, Akwetia.
Now, road accidents and illegal mining are at the center of this year's General Conference of the Ghana Medical Association ongoing at Sunyani in the Bono region. Our correspondent John Sam Atta has been monitoring the conference and joins us with details as to what the medical practitioners are seeking to achieve going forward. John, if you can hear me, what have you gathered so far from the meeting?
National Conference Center, to be precise, where the Ghana Medical Association is hosting its 63rd annual conference. And this time around, a lot of people are expecting the focus should be on COVID because of the havoc that is causing around the world. But the Ghana Medical Association thought it wise to rather feature in their theme, and the theme will let us know. And the theme is the menace of our time. Road traffic accidents, and then galamsey. These 2 issues are causing so much trouble, killing people, laying waste to our environment. Our water bodies are all, polluted. And so the Medical Association thought it wise to focus on these twin challenges of our times to help find solutions to them. So now I have with me the president of the Ghana Medical Association, Frank Ankobia Esquire, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about why they chose this theme instead of COVID or something else. You're welcome to GBC News, Doctor. Thank you. Great. So, briefly, why did you choose this theme? Because, like I said earlier, COVID is reigning. Everybody was expecting to go in that direction. But
you're perfectly right. Everybody expects us to talk about COVID. We have spoken about COVID. But people should remember that we still have old enemies with us. Road traffic accidents, according to MTTV, from January to September, had killed 2,100 and something Ghanaians. So far, COVID has killed 1,100 Ghanaians. It appears we concentrated so much on COVID, and our old enemies like road traffic accidents and galaxy, we are relegating them to the background. But hey, GMA, Ghana Medical Association, believe that these two are so dangerous that we shouldn't forget about them. I want to draw the attention of all Ghanaians to the fact that road traffic accident is still killing our people. It's still a menace. Galamsey, the health hazards, is still damaging Ghanaians. In fact, Galamsey now is akin to a chronic kind of illness, and we need to pay attention to these two. That is why we moved away from the. We agree that there's a pandemic. We are trying to contain the pandemic. That doesn't mean we should forget about the old enemies of road traffic accidents and Galamsey.
Yes, I know in your technical sessions you are going to be talking about this a lot. But right now, can you proffer some solutions, some suggestions as the way forward in checking both Galamsey and road traffic accidents?
We have proposed, for instance, that all drivers, because majority of the accidents have some human factors. Majority. So we said that there should be a continuous professional development for drivers, so that when you renew your license, that is where you undergo this continuous professional education, so that your mind is affected to human factors such as drink driving, such as lack of sleep whilst driving, such as the use of mobile phones whilst driving, and all these things that result in accidents. We've also said that usually when roads are being constructed, we should do a health impact assessment of these things and then factor into the construction. Most of our roads, for instance, on the highway, you don't have even trauma hospitals, so that if people are involved in an accident, they can quickly be taken there. We don't have ambulances in the district hospitals in between, for instance, to Accra. Yeah. And I think that the Ghana highways and the government should also pay attention to how these things are, how the roads are constructed. And all these things, I think, will help us to actually bring down the speed or the carnage on our roads.
Yes, Doctor. So
again, the Galamsey, for instance, we think, yes, government has been putting in effort to actually reduce the health hazards in Galamsey. But we think more must be done. More must be done. That is why we are still talking to government, asking government to regulate the mining industry. They must be rethink how they can mine without destroying water bodies, without destroying our forests. Okay. I think things must be put in.
Yeah, so Doctor, a quick one on the menace of...
For this conversation, my colleague there, John Samata, engaging the leadership of the Ghana Medical Association as they hold their annual conference, and has been talking to one of their leaders who has been explaining why they chose the issue of illegal mining and related accidents other than COVID-19, which is battering the world. Now to the Upper West region, where a meeting has taken place, not really in Accra before going to Upper East region. A meeting has taken place in an effort to revive the trust between the media and the police in the country. It allowed the media to lay bare the unease they are confronted with in discharging its duties. The managing editor of the Daily Dispatch newspaper, Ben Efson, said attacks on journalists can be reduced if the police have their names embossed on their uniforms. Mr. Efson advised media houses to run security desks to deal with all security-related issues properly. Also, the Acting Director General of the Public Affairs Department, Ghana Police Service, ACP Kwesi Fori, said the police service will not suppress information and is willing to fully collaborate with the media.
One of the most important things that happened today was for the IG to rekindle the trust between the police and the media. in general, I'm sure this will not be an idea wonder. We've put our concerns to him. He's addressing it, and I think that one of the most important things will be the names of the police on their uniforms. And I'm sure with subsequent meetings, we will ensure that the police protect us as and when they want to. Most media houses must have a security desk so that this collaboration between the media, police can be more restricted, because you may have somebody on attachment not knowing the intricacies of security matters, doing a story, especially when it's TV or radio live. So there are ways that we also need to shape us up to be able to work accordingly.
We have that symbiotic relationship with the media, and we need to listen to the media the way they want their police. It was a session that most of the hours spent was given to the media, to air out what they think and what they want the police to be, our challenges and shortfalls. On the name tag, for instance, we put up a machine. The machines are being set out for every police officer to have his name on his or her uniform. And IG men business, at the police headquarters here, we have that machine, and have been properly engraved here. And therefore, sooner or later, you might see a lot of police officers with their tags. We are not doing anything to stifle information, but what we want is a coordinated information system, and that we need to put our stories right.
The Ikuapem Latter district of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana in the eastern region has made its position clear in support of the anti-LGBTQ+ bill currently before Parliament. On the principal streets of the town, they organized a float which was joined by Christians, Muslims and traditional leaders who demonstrated their displeasure with placards against that sexual orientation.
They had a variety of inscriptions, some reading, "Say no to LGBTQI. Lord God save Ghana from the power of LGBTQI. All the LGBTQI agenda comes from the devil. Gay is foreign culture away from Ghana. Homosexual will bring the wrath of God against us, and homosexual is not good for human health." The float is an initiative of the Presbyterian Church and has support from other Christian denominations, Muslims and traditional leaders, all wanting their voices to be heard on the corridors of Parliament to pass the proper sexual, human and family value bill currently before it. The Benkum Hene of the Ikuapem traditional area, who is also the chief of Latte, Ahinase Nana Isiedu Okonwa Bebio, said intermarriage between a man and a woman have helped foster development across the country. Therefore, the need to promote the passage of the anti-LGBTQI bill is important. While calling for the amendment of the 1992 Constitution, he said Ghanaians will not be forced to accept anything under the pretext of human rights. He called on the MP for Ikuapem North constituency, Nana Madukuya Isiama Ejay, to represent their interests by voting in favor of the bill.
Sa bill what they call Parliament. Sir, one share na sa enya modern ambano. Young Latefo, yena jetum.
Amen.
Na yere my young parliamentarian Nana Ama Dokuwa Isameji ato say pasabore kan sa bill no ho asem wo Parliament no nim no okane ebetia na ebema sa bill no wato achina inde la zuguru mo le untumi nsi ha.
The Ikuapem Latter District Minister of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, Reverend Peter Aterjay, wondered why we shall throw away the rich Ghanaian culture and embrace one of foreign origin that is against everything we believe in as a people.
We are in support of the Parliament that they should also pass the bill just to favor Ghana, because Ghana, we have our customs, we have our culture, and we cannot throw it away.
The representative of the chief imam in Latte, Mr. Abdurrahman Labi, also stated Islam's stand on the LGBTQI.
Yes, Omanpenini, Otina Konyaso, Sa Samono, Sana Biano, Ebedina anymore. Yes, Sano, Yadim for Yankupodin, Sreno, Sasamano, on Tramu, non Tonchire, Nayampe, Wayambe Muha.
After the float, the people converged at the church's auditorium where they were addressed by the various leaders.
Back in Accra, the Minister for the Interior, Mr. Ambrose Derry, has encouraged high-profile personalities and Ghanaians in general to report cases of impersonation of their social media handles to the cyber crime unit of the Ghana Police Service. The minister says the police have put measures in place to deal with cyber crime, but cannot succeed if such cases are hidden from them.
The Ghana Police Service, in collaboration with UNICEF and the government of Ghana, has set up an ultra-modern digital forensic laboratory at the cyber crime unit of the Criminal Investigation Unit, CID, which aids the analysis of seized used for cyber crime. The re-registration of SIM cards becomes important here. Mr. Speaker, in Ghana, you can just drive and buy a SIM card. And it becomes a big challenge for us. Some of those SIM cards are used to call each of us here. Somebody can call you and threaten you. You should be careful. Otherwise, they are going to kill you. And when you report with that number, we can hardly trace the owner. And that is why we should support this re-registration. It's not that easy in every other country, developed country, for you to buy a car. So that is one move that I think we should all wholeheartedly support. And if we do that, it will help us.
Now, data is critical for scientific research and policy planning at all levels. Many, however, complain that its gathering does not receive the needed attention in the country. They also point to the fact that this is part of the nation's problem in terms of proper planning. This was the observation by the Bono East Regional Minister, Mr. Kwesi Dujan, when he spoke on the lack of furniture and teaching aids in his area. Mr. Dujan is therefore calling on the Inspectorate Division of the Ministry of Education to also give priority attention to data collection for meaningful decision-making. Plagiama Donko reports.
The experts tells us that there cannot be any meaningful development without proper data. This is because data allows us to develop more accurate theories and put in place more effective solutions. Data which is processed, organized and presented in a given context allows for improved decision making. At all levels of economic development, decisions are driven by numbers. Good data and statistical information help both public and private decision makers to invest in a particular project by making public a project success or otherwise. However, the experts complain that data collection and processing is a challenge for most institutions in the country. In the Bono East region, the lack of data at all spheres, especially in the education sector, is a setback.
We are working with the ministry for them to identify some of these schools without desk, So when we combine all these things, one of the data I started looking for when I go to these offices, how many of my students in the Bono East region, how many move from kindergarten to class 1? And then how many students move from basic school to senior high school? And for senior high school, how many of our students get to tertiary institutions? And what are the courses that they do? There's no data on this. We as a country should be very serious with information gathering.
Mr. Kwesi Edujan says the easiest way to take proper decisions for development is when data is available. Peggy Amadonko, GBC News, Techiman.
Now, residents of Danku and Boli in the Wa municipality of the Upper West region are unhappy about deplorable roads in their communities. They said successive governments have over the years paid lip service to fixing the road. They are therefore calling on the government to complete work on the road by the end of the year. Joining us from the community is our correspondent, Salah Abdul Wahab, who has been monitoring development in that area. Salah, what have you gathered as far as the concerns of residents are?
Yeah, so what I have gathered is that this road that you see behind me starts from Wa and it goes up to a community called Boli. And this is Danku community. So from where you get to Danku, then other communities to Boli. Information from the Department of Feeder Roads indicates that this road was awarded on contract in 2016. But according to the people of the Danko community, it was awarded in 2008. And up to the date, up to today that we speak, work on this road, according to feeder roads, is 30% complete. And so the people of Danko are not happy with the slow pace of work. And because of the bad nature of it, according to them, they are confronted with so many challenges. We are in the Danko community to speak with the assembly member for the area, Mr. Adams, to tell us how the assembly, the community is directly affected as a result of this bad road. Tell us, how are you affected because of this bad road?
We're affected so many ways. For example, health issues. People flying on this road.
Can you speak a bit loud?
People flying on this road has been getting accidents here and there. And then some of them, as a result, they have amputated their legs. Some of them have died. And then those who are living on the roadside, some of them has gone blind. For example, I have to go with my uncles that have gone. As we speak, they are all proof of them.
As a result of the bad.
I believe so because my grandfather never gone blind before. I've never seen any blind person in our family. So all of a sudden, two of them have gone blind, and I believe that it's a result of that have been going, that they have been healing, and then that has been going to their houses. That has caused it. Then if you look at the security of this area, is very bad. In fact, it's Western. Why? Because the nature of it is very bad. You know, when you are coming from town, for example, from Panta, before you get to the forest, the end of the forest, from there is very bad. Now, the armed robbers, what they do is that they will stay behind. They will stay behind. You know, when you are speeding or you are coming from town, when you get to the bad nature of the road, you need to slow down. Now, when you slow down, they'll pop up and then do whatever they want to do. They have been snatching people motorbikes. They have been snatching. They even our ladies in the forest.
As you said, you are worried about the delay in completing this project.
Yes.
What steps do you intend?
That's my colleague reporting from the Upper West region, where residents of Boli are complaining and appealing to government to help complete the road that connects them with other parts of the region. And of course, we will need a doctor, a medical team to confirm whether the challenges his uncle had as a result, his uncle had is associated with the dusty nature of the road. But that's all we have for you in the first part of the package. We'll go for a break. When we return, we'll be telling you more as to what's happening in the business world, and the rest of the news will continue.
TV breakfast. So what's your pleasure than Votrasi at that time of the morning?
You want it served buffet style, complimentary breakfast?
On-site restaurant?
Or room service?
We've got you covered. From Monday to Friday at 6 a.m. with a trusted team. So never skip breakfast.
On GTV Breakfast. 2006.
Good afternoon and welcome. Time now for the business segment, and I'm Dorothy Achumai. Bharti Airtel earlier this week announced the finalization of government takeover of the ownership of Airtel Tigo. Per the terms of transaction, 100% of shares of Airtel Tigo have finally been transferred to the government of Ghana. We have on the line Mr. Conrad Nair, the CEO of Summers Digital, to delve further into this deal. Good afternoon, welcome, sir.
Good afternoon.
Tell us the impact of the takeover on Ghana's telecommunications space.
Well, I've always said that it was good that the government took over Airtel and Tigo, for the matter Airtel Tigo, who were both, in distress.
Okay.
For a business or two businesses that were playing the digital ecosystem, at the full takeover, grow the business, remodel the business, grow the business, create competition in the ecosystem for MTN and Vodafone, and grow, and bring additional excitement, revenues, and opportunities, and employment, and all alike for businesses, for others and business, all alike.
Right, it was actually part of my question, wanting to ask that, looking at the history of how Ghana Telecom was run down, would you recommend that government should look for a strategic investor to take over, or the company should be run on a public-private partnership, as you are indicating?
I believe that we should find a strategic partner to take over as an investor to run the business. Private partnership, depending on how it's run, may be good or may not be good. We have heard about the stories of Vodafone and some of the challenges they've had till now. We believe that the telecommunication space is a very expensive and very highly innovative space that should allow for competition and drive to keep it going. So we don't believe that government should run it at all. They should create an enabling environment and allow private sector to take it over.
A quick one. Talking of the brand, should the name Airtel Tigo be changed or maintained?
I don't know the legal implications of the arrangement with government after the takeover, but Airtel is a brand on its own, Tigo is a brand on its own. I don't know how the takeover is with details of that, but I believe that if government 100% owns it, they should be looking at rebranding or changing the name, at least for the duration that they're going to run it until an investor comes to take over, and either maintain that name or change the name.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate. And we've just been talking to the CEO of Summers Digital, Mr. Conrad Nair, on the finalization of government's takeover on the ownership of Airtel Tigo, and he's of the view that government should look for a strategic investor to take over the company. The chief executive of the Ghana Enterprises Agency, Mrs. Kosi Yankiaye, has hinted that come 2020, the agency would start a new process for the SME grant with focus on high growth. She said access to finance is a challenge to the sector, and this process forms part of the former transformation and the SME policy implementation. Support will focus on sectors such as agro-processing, manufacturing, food and beverages, pharmaceutical and companies into the production of PPE. This forms part of the 145 million cedis grant from the World Bank under the Ghana Economic Transformation Project. This grant project was to provide support. It was a COVID response grant to support the SMEs, small medium enterprises, to boost them, to help them, to strengthen private sector so they can access some form of support and be. So this component, really, the way it's set up is not to be paid back, but it's supposed for us to go in and monitor the businesses. So we're doing very intense monitoring, ensuring the funds are being used directly for what it's supposed to be used. And we set benchmarks to actually also track the number of jobs and the growth of the businesses over a certain period of time. We would also start a new process for the SME grant, focus on the SME high growth fund support to build the businesses, support private sector so they can be sustainable to create more jobs for the Ghanaian. Access to finance is a huge component, and as you've realized, this is even one step of it. So if you see it, we designed a policy and designed implementation, and we're actually firming up the implementation policy. But as we firm up the draft process of it, we're working very closely with the MSMEs. There's also technical assistance that we are working on to build the businesses, and we'll continue to do that as on the interbank markets, the local currency is trading at 5 cedis 90 pesos to the US dollar, to the pound sterling at 8 cedis 3 pesos, and the euro at 6 cedis 83 pesos. Up next are the figures and also the prices of gold, cocoa and light crude from the commodity board. We have more news coming up. Please stay.
On the global front, Nigeria has declared 2 days of national